guess maybe we need to start with you divulging your injuries, and you give us an injury for here. The way we talk about our press conference, we talk about injuries. So we'll just tell us about your injury there tonight.
Well, I'll be held out of contact.
What's your time frame?
This should be on through the end of spring.
Okay.
Looking at 6 weeks. Got it done last Tuesday.
Would it be contact or no contact?
Definitely no contact.
Here we go again. I think just we'll start out by we had 8 great weeks of winter conditioning. I thought Luke Day, our new strength coach, did a tremendous job with our guys. I thought our guys worked extremely hard like they always do for that 8-week period. Now we're starting the next phase, of course, which is the actual football part of it. So I think it's exciting, as the head coach, to be able to go out and watch these kids that have developed physically. Then we got some new bodies in there. 4 or 5 guys that we haven't seen out there. We get the opportunity to see for the first time. So it's exciting, and there's no question that we got it to get where we want to go. Expectations are extremely high there. They should be. We expect to be great. We've got good players, so we got to continue to do a great job of developing them. And it always starts with playing great defense. We've done that the last 3 years, and we lost some really good defensive players. So it's important that our ends are back intact. Our inside guys, we've got some good young inside guys we have to see develop. Losing McKelvey, the defensive player of the year, and DJ Hunter was a tremendous player for us. So we got to work to develop some depth there. Linebacker, and then we lost a tremendous safety in Taj Letman and a great corner in Corey Tyndall. So those are probably the key positions defensively that we have to develop to get back to where we want to be. And of course, that's playing great defense. Offensively, it starts at the quarterback position. Of course, Chase is back. I thought for a freshman, had a great year. He'll be competing with Birdsong, of course, for that job. The offensive line with getting Van Horn back is really back intact, so it should be one of the strengths of our offense. And the running backs with Devin didn't play much a year ago, so the 3 guys we did play are back. And I like what the way they developed a year ago. They have to continue to get better. And in the wide receiver position, DeAndre Reeves may have had as good a senior year as anybody I've ever stepped up, was the MVP of the team, voted for by his teammates, and maybe played. We talk about seniors playing their best football. There's no question he did. So to be able to replace that production, not only at the slot position, but he's just a tremendous punt returner, kick returner, and help with special teams as well. So got to develop that receiver position. And on special teams, there's kind of a couple. Tyler Williams, you guys have been around a lot longer than I have. Some of maybe the best punter ever punted here. I know we've had some tremendous punters here, but he's got ranked right up there with the best of them. Got to work to replace him. And the guy that's you never hear about is a long snapper. I mean, he was 4 straight years, never had a bad snap, on a punt or an extra point field goal. So until you don't have one of those, you don't notice them. So hopefully we can get him replaced, and then of course the kickers are back intact. So got a lot of work to do. I think the one thing you try to do in the spring is you challenge certain players to play to the measurables. We did that a year ago with Gary Thompson. He ended up leading the league in sacks. And every year you have certain players that you want to try to get to play up to what their measurables are or their potential, and that's what spring's all about. That's what coaching's all about. That's what developing players are all about. And if you continue to do that, and again get your seniors that are seniors this particular year coming up playing their best football, we got a chance. So I'm excited about it. We'll get going. We'll go Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays like we always do, and be ready to play. So we're here again.
Can you remember a year since you've been here in which there has been this much, pretty much open competition going at the skill positions, especially the running backs, the wide receivers, corners, going into a spring? It seems like there's always been veteran guys there.
I think Grant, I think you're right to an extent. I think early on, there wasn't any competition because there wasn't any players. Maybe you had one, so I guess to answer your question early on, there wasn't a whole lot of competition in certain positions. But, I thought, Holly Foster, I thought came in and played well. I think Keon Davis, came in and showed in that bowl game he's got the ability to play. And Pittman, when healthy, I like what he's all about. So I think it starts there. We got a couple of kids coming in that, I think will compete along with those guys. But I think there's a good base here to start with. The offensive line has probably more depth than any time since I've been here. Getting Van Horn back and all those young kids that play. So, there's a lot of depth there, but it could be,
With Hiley, you are going to keep him at running back. He's not going to move back to slot, trying to replace Reeves, or is that something that's still in flux for them?
I think it's. We're going. I think the wing. one thing we try to do it every year, is get your best players on the field. You know, and I think as the spring goes along, you know, I think Hollick's got the ability to be a tremendous running back, probably a better running back than he is a receiver at this point. So, you know, if Keon Davis would really come along, and Pitt and a couple of those guys, and you know, we got more than a couple of players there at that running back position. We'll look to try to get somebody else, you know, get them somewhere else and get them on the field. So,
Doc, earlier you said that Chase is coming back, but competing with Birdsong for the starting spot. Is that more motivation for Chase, or is that honestly up in the air still?
well, I think that's at every position. I mean, you know, the best players are going to play. You know, Birdsong had an unfortunate incident a year ago where, you know, after he got hurt in that Purdue game, and he just never recovered enough to play. And Chase took advantage of the opportunity, did a tremendous job. So, you know, we're going to let him compete just like we do at every position. And at the end of the day, you know, the best players can play. I would hope nobody needs motivation to go out and play every day. I mean, if you're a competitor and you're a good player, I mean, you're going to show up every day and go to work and work to get better. That's what great players do. So, you know, I would think that's the mindset of both those kids.
I think spring's more about competition between the kids than it is getting ready for something. I mean, the long-term goal is getting ready for the fall, but I think kids have to compete in the spring. That's the only time you can really get them to.
There's no question. Spring ball is a time where I think you really work hard on developing players. You know, we work really hard as far as coaching fundamentals, and tackling, and all the things you do. And you know, you look up, and I mean, you don't have a whole lot of opportunities. I mean, you got really 12. You got 11 opportunities to really go out and practice, and you got spring game, which, you know, is what it is. And so you're only putting the pads on 12 times. You know, 3 of those are in shorts. So you got to take advantage of every opportunity you have to get better as a player, because, you know, unfortunately there's not a lot of opportunities anymore in the spring. So, you know, football is one game which is different than a lot of sports, where you actually go out and you can't go out and play every day. You know, you get so many opportunities, you better take advantage of those opportunities, a chance to put the pads on.
Yeah. You talk a little about the brand new faces that will be on the field for you the first times, Revis and the freshman.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like, a lot of good things. You see a lot of really good things from those kids, you know, in the off season. I think some of those kids came in, and you know, Revis and Maddox and a couple of those guys have come in and done a really good job in the off season workouts. So you see how that transitions over onto the field, and I'm excited to see those guys.
How about your linebacker spot? You lost some guys, some obvious talent, but you got some real talent coming in that maybe we haven't even seen.
Yeah, I think, and the one thing too, you know, is, you know, somebody always, it's kind of amazing how when somebody else is finally your turn, you step up and you get it done. For example, McKelvey really was our best linebacker 2 years ago. He went out, and all of a sudden Neville Hewitt stepped in there and took over and was player of the year in the conference. And of course McKelvey came back this year and was player of the year. So there's some good young talent in that room. I thought Tyler, you know, came in for a junior college kid and really played well for us a year ago. You know, we kind of weren't expecting that to happen, and we got some good young players there now. With Chase Hancock has showed that he can be a player. Hernandez has shown he's got some ability. So Durant's a guy that we got to see. You know, so there's some bodies in there that we think are good enough that, you know, potential get you beat. You know, production win games, and these guys have to just be able to show up and go play, and I think they will.
For a guy like Frankie Hernandez, he was hungry to get on the field last year, and he you know, wasn't bashful about that. He loved, you know, playing the game and getting out there and competing with even the seniors. How important is it for him to sort of make that transition into, okay, I want to, but now it's my chance and I need to?
Yeah, I think now it's his turn, and he has to. You know, and I think the thing was great about the development of Frankie Hernandez, for example. He developed himself starting out on special teams, which is what we try to do. If you remember early on in that Purdue game, he kind of set the stage for his freshman year, what happened on that kickoff return. You know, he just did a tremendous job. They did a good job running down kickoffs. You know, he gained confidence, he gained trust from the coaches that he could actually go play, and he's only going to get better and better. And I think the one thing that's happened the last 3 years is we've had great leadership and to teach these young kids how to play. I mean, you know, fortunately for Frankie Hernandez, he's had Neville Hewitt as his redshirt year. He's had McKelvey and he's had Trey for his, you know, his freshman year. So he's had older players sitting in that room that have told him what it takes to be great and how you got to go out and practice every day and do those things. You know, the defensive line, for example, has had Rouse They lost Rouse and had Samuel took over and Dylan. And so there's, you know, right now in that room, right now you got Tyler in there with Frankie, who's now that guy. You know, so there's some older guys in that room, every room, that have, you know, set the foundation, the culture for the program. And these young kids, they grow up seeing that you have to do things a certain way, the right way. And Reeves is an example. I mean, Reeves is an example we're going to use every day with these wideouts. I mean, B. Reeves this year. I mean, he came out of nowhere and just played up to his measurables. I mean, go be that guy, you know. And so it's happened around here the last 3 or 4 years, and that's what good programs and do. But they got great leadership in those rooms, and we seem to have one in every room that grabs these young kids and tells them what has to be done.
At the time of the ball game, we didn't know Corey Tyndall was going to be gone from the program. How important in hindsight was that bowl game for Rodney Allen's confidence? Because he played very well.
Yeah, there's no doubt that, you know, Rodney Allen's a talented guy, but he's been playing corner for 2 years, and he's finally starting to, you know, feel comfortable there. Chuck's done a great job of coaching him, and he's got to be the guy now. You know, I think it's with losing Corey and backs, you know, our defense is built from the outside in. If you look at our defense, the way we play, we've got to be able to match up at the corner position to be able to get the extra hat in the box and do what we do defensively. And for the last 3 years with Swag and Corey and some of those guys, we've been able to do that. So it's going to be critical this spring with what we have on campus and what we've got coming in. You know, we recruited heavily at that corner position. 2 of them are already here. That you know, we can develop that position and get the play out of those guys that we need. And I think we can because the talent's there. And Coach Heater will do a tremendous job of getting those guys coached. But to answer your question, you know, confidence is a big part, especially at the corner position. You know, you got to play with a lot of confidence, and Rodney will come out this spring probably a totally different guy.
Doc, in the fall, you know, you had the good news, bad news. Bad news was you had guys injured. You had the good news, had a lot of kids step up. You're probably going to be missing some of those same offensive linemen though this spring. Van Horn, Deaver, Jordan. I don't know how many. I talked to Bill about it a little bit, and you know, he said, well, we'll continue the growth that those guys got in the fall. What do you want to see those younger guys nail down in the spring if they get a lot of work?
Well, just continue to develop. I mean, and they'll have no choice in it. Because mirror ball, you know, they'll develop. Because if a lot of those guys, you know, the Dowries is going to miss a little bit of spring, and Devers with just some minor things, but they'll be back. They'll get some individual work. Van Horn's going to get a lot of work. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, he's been here longer than I have, so he probably didn't get a lot of work. But he's going to get some. I mean, he's physically he can get some. He can do some things. So, you know, the rest of them will just, you know, Stanley, I thought played take a big step a year ago. I mean, he's a really good player that is going to continue to develop like he has. The Beno's of the world who came in and played an awful lot of football a year ago. Selby, you know, we got, there's plenty of young guys in there. I'm sure they'll, you know, out the locker, I got a lot of great things. He needs a lot of work. You know, those young guys that haven't played as much as the Van Horns. Even Dowry's a young guy, but he played a bunch of snaps a year ago. You know, he played well. So we'll continue to work those young guys and those older guys get back, as you mentioned. That extra work will pay off.
Going into a year where you lost Devin and Remy, who had been around the running backs room for quite some time at that point, and logged a lot of snaps. How much easier does it make it on those young guys that you know, that offensive line's 8 or 9 deep, and so they sort of help that position along by doing their job?
Yeah, there's no question. Anytime you got, you know, it starts up front offensively, and you know, anytime those guys play well, it's a lot easier, and those running backs look a lot better. And you know, I remember, you know, this time, I mean, as you mentioned, Devin and Remy were our running backs. And I look out there at FAU, I don't know exactly what game it was a year ago, but I'm holding my breath. We're playing with a wideout, never played running back for us, and played with Keon Davis, who I was scared to death, never held the ball, and those guys went in and played well. You know, and number one says a little bit about it. And then Pittman, we go to Kent State and we're playing Pittman, who I didn't think would see the field. And, I mean, he played his tail off, you know, and then lines up against Old Dominion out here and has 100. I think he had 300-yard games. You know, so all those experiences that those 3 kids experience of playing, and Keon went into that bowl game that last fourth quarter and just taking it over. I mean, those guys are going to come out there this spring with a lot more confidence, and I think it starts with having the ability to be a player. And they all 3 have that. You know, you recruit them all 3 again, and they have them now. It's unfortunate we didn't have Devin for the entire year and Remy for the entire year, but you know, looking back now, I mean, we're a lot better off going into spring now because of it. Now, we wish it hadn't worked out that way, but it did, and so we're further ahead with those guys.
Does Pittman sort of have that S-Ray Talfaro feel to him? He's sort of a guy that's under the radar in practice, and then he just comes out in games, and it seems like he was lights out last year.
He's a guy that you know, if you want to crawl in a hole with, you want him in the hole. I mean, someone's gonna come after you in that hole. I want him in there with me because he'll fight you. He's extremely tough, and when the lights come on, he plays. And that's what it's all about.
Doc, you got 3 athletic tight ends, Harris, Bird, Yurachek. You gonna be able to do some stuff with them where maybe they split out, use them a little wide, and maybe like Marshall did with Cody Slade a few years back, and because they are able to go catch a ball and run a little bit against secondaries.
You know, it goes back to, I think, the question I had earlier about getting the best players on the field. And 2 of our best players are Bird and Yurachek. So there's probably gonna see a lot more of them on the field at the same time. You know, and they can both. Thing that's neat about those 2 guys is they can flex out. Yurachek, he's not gonna run by you, but he's a little bit like Tommy Schuler. You know, he plays fast. He can play in space, and so you're probably going to see you are going to see Yurachek and Bird on the field at the same time. And we talked this morning about seeing if Caleb Harris can catch kickoffs, because there's probably not a kid on our team faster than he is. So we're going to take a hard look. He won a hurdle championship in the state of Ohio, and he can run now. So he's a big body that we're going to try to find ways to get him on the field too.
Is there anybody going back to measurables? Anybody like Gary Thompson you've come to in the past few days and said, you're this, and this?
I mean, McManus would be a guy, yeah. I mean, McManus would be a guy that needs to play this measure. You know, I think, and we're going to challenge all of them. I mean, I should say all of them. A lot of them already are doing that. But, we've had several of them we've talked, too, about getting that done, and they have. And they'll all be challenged, the ones that aren't totally not.
Yeah, with the loss of your seniors, you'll have a new chemistry that has to develop for the team, and does spring practice take that kind of to another level beyond just the workouts so far?
Yeah, it does. I mean, it takes, we did some things, during the winter with, the leadership part of it and putting those kids in, and, I'll be honest, I don't know if I've said it here before, but probably maybe 2 of the best leaders I ever have been around in all my years of coaching were freshmen. One was Tim Tebow, and the other was Phil Rivers. They were true freshmen, so I don't think you have to be you don't have to be a senior to lead. You just got to be a good player you got to be a really good player that's got the leadership capabilities. And there's been a lot of kids around here that have been, the way we do the captains. I mean, when we run them out there, they're not always all seniors. There's the Selby's have been captains, and Tyndall's is freshmen, and so. I think just there's a lot of kids on this football team that need to assume that leadership role than our seniors, but the seniors need to play their best football and be a part of that. And for the last 3 years, that's happened. And you go back and look at our seniors, from the Talaferos who had 1,000 yards, and then mentioned Talafero had a 1,000-yard rushing season, to Bazzi who's still playing in the CFL, to Reeves this year, to Jarquez Samuel, to Rouse, to Swag, to
Arnold Blackman.
Arnold Blackman, they all played, their senior year played their best football. And that's what good teams do. And we've got a group of seniors right now. And the great thing is for the last 3 years, and now this being the 4th, I mean, we got a pretty good senior class. We're not, senior day didn't take 2 minutes. The first couple of years, I was out there, I shook 3 hands and walked the sideline. So we got our ass kicked. So now, at least, you got 18, 19 guys run out there, you got a chance. That's what good teams have. You've got seniors that have been in the program a while, and that's why we are where we are.
Yeah.
Doc, since you stabilized your staff too 3 or 4 years ago there, these guys have stuck with you. I mean, you have very little turnover, and I think from a coaching standpoint, that's good because they understand what you want, they understand their players. For players, it's got to be great. I mean, they've got a lot of respect for these guys because they're winning. And so, they know who's going to come in a room, be in a room, what they expect, and what's expected of them.
I think the thing about it is I think 4 years ago, and I hired Chuck and Billy, and I think we hired like 8 guys that year. I think we had like 8. And the turnover's good at times. I mean, you want people coming. I didn't want to lose Scott, but he went to University of Georgia. That's good. That's his damn good. He's good at what he does. And You hire good people. Luke's as good as I've ever been around. We just replaced him with a guy that's really, really good. And but I think what starts with Chuck and Billy. I've had those guys, and they're at the age right now where winning championships is more important than money. They're happy here. They want to be here. They've had opportunities, both of them, to leave. For more money than having. And so when you get to that point with those two guys, and then Mike's and Mike Hamrick and administration done all we can to try to keep our staff competitive especially within our league. And we've been able to keep some guys. So you never want to lose anybody, but I've never been one to if you lose a guy that's a major deal. Just go out and go out and find one that's good or better. That's a compliment to your program. So but you're right.
Facilities impact those guys too, don't it? When you're giving them a chance to win.
Yeah, there's no doubt. That's what has given us a chance. That indoor facility has been invaluable for. We've been able to. All winter long, we're in there every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday with our skill development, our mats, and our quarterbacks and receivers are able to go in there a couple days a week and throw and catch. And just up until 2 years ago, they never did that here. Never did it here at Marshall. Couldn't. You go out there in January and you get a foot of snow on the ground. So just the development of the players, what that's done, and then of course the recruiting. We have recruits in here. Every weekend. We're gonna have the best players coming in here, and when they walk in here, they can go. It takes them about 2 minutes to understand the commitment that Marshall University and this fan base has to our program by walking in that building over there. Because we've had guys. I think somebody else, Jack, or somebody did the story here with Stump Mitchell. They were shocked. He was shocked when he walked in there, and Cincinnati Bengals and Philadelphia Eagles don't have that. The pro teams don't have it. The 99.9% of college teams don't have what we have over there. So there's no doubt that every piece, and you know what, a lot of people, you want to go to work when you're happy. Wake up every day and go do this or anything, and you're miserable. That's the pain. You don't do that. And our guys are happy here. They like living here. They like our administration. I'm a pain in the ass sometimes. Other than that, I guess they like it.
The kickers and snappers, you had two backup snappers last year and kind of alternated which one to take on the road. I guess they're both here this year?
No, one's here, one isn't. Wood's here. The other one gone, I don't know. I don't know the name. Everyone's gone. No name.
Who punts for you, Vedvik or?
Vedvik. But Vedvik's an interesting character. I tell you, you guys came to practice. He's about as talented. I'm not going to sit here and say he's Tyler Williams, but he's as talented punter as I've ever been around. If he can be considered, which I think he can. A tremendous athlete. He's just a tremendous athlete. So he'll start out as a punter, and I think he's going to be fine.
How important is it for him to gain the consistency? Because we'd be out here, watching while they're going through their reps, he and Tyler both, and he'd hit one that went 65, and then he'd hit one that went 30. How important is the spring for him to gain some continuity and some confidence?
Well, he's got to become more consistent. And you know what? I thought a year ago he was. When he was back, I thought in practice he was a lot more consistent than he has been, and I think he'll be fine. Number one, football is important to him. He's an extremely talented kid. He works really hard at what he does, and he's a lot more consistent, I thought, right now than what Tyler was when he got here. That's of course a lot of years ago, but I think he'll be fine. He needs to be.
Open competition at kicker as well with Amaretto and Smith.
Coach, how often do you talk to former players, and what do they say about how being a part of Marshall prepared them for whether they're still playing football professionally or just in the workforce?
Well, I think anytime you get one of the former players, whether it's in the workforce, especially in the workforce, they know how to work. That's the one thing we try to do is get up every day and go to work. There aren't a lot of secrets. We try to work extremely hard at what we do, and let's don't get outworked in anything we do. Let's don't get outworked in the weight room. Let's don't get outworked in the offices. Let's just don't get outworked recruiting. And those players, the discipline they develop by, they're here on time. Kids today, they don't know when to show up, and they don't know how important it is to show up on time and put in 8 hours every day. And normal kids, they don't learn that growing up anymore, unfortunately. And our kids understand discipline. They understand teamwork. They understand overcoming adversity. They understand if it's 9 o'clock, it's 5 minutes till. That's what you learn in this that's one thing about athletics. You know, in today's world, you get rewarded for hard work in athletics. You know, and sometimes in the real world out there, you don't get rewarded anymore for working your tail off. You get penalized. I mean, in athletics, you don't. You work your tail off. Guess what? You can go win a championship. You know, and you know, you go out there and you make a lot of money, and you get rewarded by paying higher taxes. I mean, what the hell is that? But that being said, you know, our kids understand. You know, they understand what commitment means. They understand overcoming adversity. They understand discipline, and I think that carries over whether it's in the workforce or in our NFL guys. They know how to work. I mean, they get to those camps and talk to those coaches and talk to those kids. They're not having to do anything there that they didn't have to do right here. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, the one assistant on the field assistant you had to replace at running back, was there anyone have any connection with Coach Pearson before? Or?
Yeah. Todd Goebel had worked with him before over 4 years. So
Mm-hmm.
Knew who he was, knew what it was all about. He was a good recruit, he was a good coach, knew his background, and he's done a great job.
Antavius Rowe won't be here in the spring, I guess, but who else will be?
He'll be here He'll be here some. He was out to run around a little bit yesterday. I don't know what he had a slight deal, his surgery, a small surgery deal, but he could possibly be out there some in the spring. Him, 2 linemen, I mentioned Beavers and Mallory, will be limited. I think everybody else is pretty good to go.
You mentioned Clint will get some reps. How do you balance the fine line of, okay, we want him to work with the ones at the offensive line towards, okay, we know what he can do, let's shut him down for a little bit?
Yeah, I think Clint didn't play a lot of football last year either. So I mean, he's starting all over. I mean, he's gonna have to play some because he missed. There's a reason he got his 6th year back because he missed all last year. So he's, you know, Alex will do a good job with that. But Clint's, and you all know Clint. I mean, he's gonna want to practice. We'll be smart with him. I mean, like I say, it's 12 practices. End of the day, Clint needs to get into the summer, so he's got a whole summer to continue to develop and get stronger. The important thing is he's ready to go in August.
How big is he from a vocal leadership standpoint? Because you know, that's another position that is always important in spring.
Well, there's no doubt. He's a tremendous leader and has been since he's been here. And you take him and Selby, and you know, that's a great start up front because both those guys do a great job with that.
How much do you emphasize conference champions to give them motivation, obviously, for
There's no doubt.
does it start the spring?
Ultimately, that's our goal. I mean, that's our goal every year. That'll never change. I mean, some people said you had a great year last year. Some no, we didn't have a great year last year. Last year was a good year because you didn't win a championship. I mean, the term great should be reserved for the years you win the conference championship. That's what it's all about. And last year you win 10, it's good. It's not great unless you win that championship. And so that will always be the goal here. And it should be. And it should be. And we'll work our tail off to try to make that come true.
Any qualms about going ahead of spring, going to the next season? Any qualms about having to play all the way through with no bye week time?
Well, I mean, you know what, I bitch about it and moan about it, but then once it's done, when am I gonna do it? It ain't gonna change, so it's like anything else. You walk out of that office and you may not be happy with it, but at that point, what are you gonna do? Just move on. I mean, so, you know, it's not perfect, but it is what it is at this point, and guess what? We just gotta make sure we take every week one at a time and go play, and it went a whole lot different last year.
No.
To be honest, because we won 11 straight weeks last year. So it is what it is, and you know, like I say, it's not set up perfectly, but you know, the positive, we have 7 home games. I mean, that's a positive. I mean, our schedule is tremendous, and I hope there shouldn't be a whole hell of a lot of complaints about our schedule this year. I know Akron was a bowl team last year, won 8. You know, we got them coming. Louisville's they did a tremendous job against A&M in that bowl game. They'll probably be a top 10 or 15 team coming in here, and of course Pitt won 8 and went to a bowl. So, you know, out of conference, you know, and the teams in a conference, I mean, are good teams. So, you get 7 home games. That's a positive, and we'll go play them one at a time and see what happens.
Knowing what you've got ahead, to piggyback off Chuck's question, knowing what you got ahead, how important is it for those young guys to get the reps necessary starting tomorrow to run them through the fall and get them ready for fall, because you're likely going to have to use more guys. There's not going to be a break.
Yeah, well, It was that way a year ago, as you mentioned. It was sure that way a year ago. And some of those young guys that played early, didn't get a ton of reps. One of them didn't get any reps last spring, Keon. So, we'll get our young guys ready to play, and then there's a lot of time between. You get a lot of practices, in fall camp prior to that first game. So, just gives many players we can get ready and play.
The league is trying to improve on back end. Maybe you said 5 teams in bowls and had a pretty good year there, but the league still got some work to do, I guess, nationally. Some people thought the league was down last year. A lot of people.
I think a year ago. I think at the end of the day, this league's a lot better than what people give it credit for. I hear all this about the American Conference and all this, but you look at the bowl records, and I think we went there and beat 2 of those teams. And we beat the one to beat Houston. So, the year prior to that, we were ranked higher than the American as a league. And if you just look at our bowl record for the last 2 or 3 years, I think we've held our own with just about everybody. But at the end of the day, I think we're set up, and everybody's set. We just got to do what we can do. With our schedule the way it's set up right now, we just got to go find a way to win some games. And the same thing with Western. Southern Miss is back. They've done a nice job, and La Tech, just went and destroyed that team with the Sun Belt team. I think with the Sun Belt champions. So at the end of the day, I'm not sure the league got as much credit as it was due, and I think we can hang with any of these out there.
If you were going to pick, it's off the wall. If you were going to pick one player that you would think, who would you say is going to surprise us this spring that we're not thinking of? It's going to really surprise us.
A lot of the kids have played. A lot of the kids have played. Hopefully, I'm hoping, to be honest, if I had to pick one, it's one of these corners coming in here, or one of these DBs that are new where we need help. I hope it's one of those guys. But just to pick one, I don't know. Maybe, hopefully Durant comes in and plays his measurables. Hopefully Revis is what we think he is. Hopefully, these other guys, Maddox, and those guys can play. Somebody will. Right now, I don't know who it is, but you guys all want to put your names in a hat in the spring. See if you had the right pick. Give you something to do while you're up here. First practice, right, Woody? Everybody put their pick. End of the day, see who's right.
Anything else?
All right, guys, thanks.